Today, I want to talk about brainwashing and the brainwashing that we have experienced as men in this culture. It's important to understand that your mind, your emotions have been programmed since birth, just like your parents, just like your grandparents, and for generations going back. And so, as we understand this, we then can take our power back. We can start to reclaim our power and use it to become our most authentic self. And as high performing men, we have probably experienced some of the deepest and most intense brainwashing. And that is why it's so important for us. Those of us who have the capacity to really make movement and action happen in this world, to be free of these artificially installed programs and to get clear on who we are. Now, the last video I shared was about having a vision and why it's important for you to create a vision and have goals in order to move forward in life. Now, this part's really important because it might be difficult for you to create a vision if your vision is running off of programs that have been installed in you that aren't even yours. They reflect desires and motivations that serve other people rather than serving your true life's purpose. So today, I'm going to give you just an introduction to the concept of brainwashing and how this mental and emotional programming has affected us. I'm going to give you a few examples of that type of brainwashing and really how it affects us as high-performing men. And then we're going to get into what the impact is, why it is affecting us, how it affects us, and why reprogramming is so important for those of us who are choosing to be in the 5% that has a vision and that chooses to go and follow our own authentic purpose. Let's talk about brainwashing. Now, we've all heard about brainwashing. It's a concept that we've been familiar with. Maybe we see it in the popular media. Maybe we've heard about it on some video games. Maybe we've even seen it in films like A Clockwork Orange, which is notorious for giving some visuals, some very frightening visuals about brainwashing. But the truth is that we've all been exposed to it our entire lives. I had a teacher in college who taught accounting for hotel and restaurant management, and he said if you can learn how to steal, then you can learn how to protect yourself from theft in a business. And so I'm going to give you the same perspective, and I'm going to help you to understand how you get brainwashed so that you can become aware of it and prevent further brainwashing so that you can become your authentic self. The first thing that we are introduced to when it comes to brainwashing is the media. The media is so powerful. Songs, pop music, the things that get stuck in our head, the earworms that we end up singing songs over and over again with no understanding of what the lyrics actually mean. It's the repeated media that we're exposed to through film, through TV shows, commercials. You know, it's said that most advertisements know that they're not going to get an immediate effect on you. But when you see something 10, 12, 15, 20 times, even if it's just exposure to a brand logo or to a product, you're going to be more likely to purchase that later on in the store or on the internet. This repetition is important because our unconscious mind learns through repetition. We also have our societal norms, what is called normal. And by the way, normal is not necessarily natural. And in fact, I would say most of the time it's not. We also have a society that claims that destroying the rainforest and degradation of our natural resources and the exploitation by a few of our natural resources for the financial benefit of the few when all suffer from poor environment and environmental degradation, that's considered normal. The political agendas and controversy that are out there, controversy is used to rile us up, to incite emotions. And in those high emotional states, especially ones that are typically anger, frustration, jealousy, grief, sadness, guilt, shame, those are all emotional states that are used to get us to fall in line and to feel certain things. So what exactly are the messages that we are given when we are brainwashed? Well, for us, especially as men and as high-performing men, I'd say the number one is the pursuit of money above all else. This idea that we need to put the numbers in a bank account, this invisible, artificial idea, this agreement that's made between us and our financial institutions and our political system, that this is the number one priority that we must have, and that there is nothing more important than how many numbers you have in your bank account, and that frankly, your value is your financial worth. We as men have been taught to suppress emotions. We've been taught that emotions are for the weak, emotions are for women, emotions are something that really leaves us vulnerable to being taken advantage of or to being exploited. Another thing is that material possessions equal happiness. This is, of course, related to the pursuit of money, because it is with money, with these currency tools, that we then purchase material goods. We become convinced that that is just what we do. That's what's right. If you've ever seen the film The Matrix, this is perfectly demonstrated in this film, that we are brainwashed. They're plugged into a system, an artificial reality, that they're sold this idea that this world is real and natural, when in fact they have been harvested for their energy. And that is exactly what happens in this life. You were born a slave. I was born a slave. And the most powerful deception is to convince us that we've been free all along, when in fact we've been in chains. So it's important for us to wake up from this programmed state, to break free from the matrix, and to start being our own authentic self. How this impacts us? Well, for men, it causes severe mental health issues. We deal with depression and anxiety and stress because of the jobs, because of the pursuit of money, because of the idea that we have to be better, we have to be more by earning more money or by possessing and purchasing more material goods. It eventually rots away at our relationships because we put so much effort on pursuing money, and then we forget that actually what's really important are all the things that are free. Friendship, love, gratitude, our breath, the ability to see. All these things that we take for granted that are free, those are the things that are truly the most important. It also rots away at our understanding of who we are. We are sold an identity that is ultimately false. It does not align with our soul's purpose, with our higher mission, with our heart. And when we start to buy into someone else's definition of ourselves, and we live an inauthentic life, we then go back to having more of those health problems. We deal with burnout, stress, anxiety, substance abuse issues, because we end up just trying to cope because we're trying to fit in to something that ultimately is not meant for us. So this is why reprogramming is key, because when we restore our authenticity, when we get in connection with our true self, we will then be able to start pursuing the investments of time, energy, effort, work, relationships that actually coincide with who we want to be, who we know we came here to be. The other aspect of this is that we get to remember our worthiness, that we don't need to perform in order to be worthy of love, to be worthy of excitement, joy, happiness, satisfaction. These things are not based upon our work that we put in. They're based on our inherent nature as a part of the Creator, part of God, part of the universe, part of whatever you want to call it. I don't care what words you use, but that there is something greater and that we are all one. It helps us to improve our mental and emotional health. We can start to release the emotional baggage that keeps us stuck. And by the way, when I do my work with my clients, we get to have these deep limiting beliefs, these false beliefs that we have been programmed with. In order to release them, we have to release the anger, the frustration, the sadness, the guilt, the shame, the hurt, all of these negative emotions that are just like sandbags that keep us weighed down. And so we must release them in order to release these old programs and to start to program new things in ourselves. It helps us to build meaningful relationships, because instead of just saying, oh, well, I need to have a kid and an attractive wife and somebody who fits this mold like my father had or my grandfather had or like somebody on TV or in film has, you can pursue the relationship that genuinely lights you up, that brings to you those positive emotions and helps you to elevate. This allows us to achieve true success. And success is, again, not a bank account. It's not material possessions. Success is, and I'll quote Earl Nightingale, who's a fantastic teacher and author and speaker. He started talking about this decades ago, that we need to stop following other people and follow what works and follow our true self and our own vision. He said that success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That's not how much money you have in your bank account, right? It's about your worthy ideal, your ideal life, and pursuing it progressively, step by step, day by day. So how do we reprogram? Well, number one is awareness. You have to become aware of the programs in order for you to stop following them, in order for you to start breaking them. It's like when somebody points out to you a bad habit, let's say maybe chewing your nails. If you bite your nails, but you didn't know it because it's such a deeply programmed behavior, then you can't do anything about it. It takes somebody pointing it out to you and maybe some embarrassment that you might feel, which is unnecessary, but you might feel it. And then that shows you, oh, okay, now every time I see myself or feel myself going to bite my nails, because I'm aware of it, then I can start to, and this is the next thing that we can do, interrupt the pattern, right? Think of this like an old school record player. If you scratch the record won't play. But as long as the record is on the record player and the stylus is in there just running, you're going to keep getting the same thing over and over again. The grooves and the wiring in our nervous system is such that we will continue to play out the same old message. We also must get rid of the emotional baggage. As I said earlier, the emotional baggage is like that weight that holds us down, that keeps us stuck in the same pattern. It is the deep grooving on the record that keeps us doing the same thing over and over again. The next thing is to release your limiting beliefs. These are the deep mental programs that we carry that we might have developed in response to a trauma, in order to survive. They're usually survival mechanisms, and oftentimes they're survival mechanisms that are installed by our society because we live in a society where we have to survive, and in order to do so, we have to hold certain beliefs to be true, like money is the most important thing in the world. That is not true. It is your truth, perhaps, but it is not actually true. The next element is you need to have emotional intelligence to be able to connect with your emotions, feel them when they come up, honor them, allow them to move through you. It's energy in motion, that's in emotion. Have the intelligence to know that your emotions are telling you something. They are a compass, they are your GPS system. And if you feel terrible every time you go to work, maybe you need to change your work. The last thing is really healthy lifestyle changes. This could be for you getting up early, eating a better diet. This could be for you really changing the environment that you're in, getting plants in your home, something as simple as that, but something that changes your environment, which is going to affect your unconscious mind, is going to affect your behaviors. Now, I can highly recommend to you a few different pieces of media that actually are going to help you to shift your perspective and help you to unbrainwash yourself. You can watch the movie A Clockwork Orange, which is quite brutal and pretty intense, but shows a lot about brainwashing and its power. You can also watch the movie The Matrix and see it really as a movie that is educating you on the truth of our society, which is that you have been born into a society as a slave. I highly encourage you to check out Earl Nightingale's work. His records, his old recordings, and his books are fantastic, and they are great at helping you to understand the importance of why it is that you must have a vision and you must be your own true authentic self. You can also check out works by Joe Dispenza. His book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, is fantastic, and it's all about unprogramming. Now, if you need help and you want to go further, I highly recommend that you work with somebody who knows what they're doing, and that's where I come into play. I have gone through such deep programming around marriage, around jobs, around buying material goods, around showing status through my things, that I have then, trained and dedicated myself over these last 4 or 5 years to learning how to unwire those programs, how to rewire and reprogram for that which we desire. So if you're interested in learning more, you can schedule a transformation strategy session with me following the links in the description. And that is where we can get together and talk about really what are the steps for you to get rid of the old programs and then start to create a new vision for yourself.